Hello everyone, welcome to today's video and welcome to my messy desk. Today what I want to do is I want to show you how I have been using up my watercolors, mainly the Cotman ones that I have mentioned in a previous video that I have tons of and that I am trying to switch over to the professional grade. Now there's nothing wrong with these are perfectly fine, but they are slightly less pigmented than the professional grade ones. And I have been wanting to switch over to the professional grade for a while now. And the way that I'm forcing myself to do that is by trying to use up my Cotmans. So I'm going to show you how I've been working lately to make that happen. So for that, let's move on to the overhead camera. Okay, so as I mentioned, here are my Cotmans. I'm going to show you a few things right now. So I started painting with Cotman Winsor Newton in 2010, so quite a long time ago. And I remember really loving them, especially the size of the box. They came here, so this was like a box for 12. I have some like old stuff stored in here. And I had two of these, and I really liked them. And then one day, this was back when I was living in London, I saw that they had an offer, this 45 color set from Winsor Newton, also the Cotman line, and they were going for £20, so they were on sale. They normally cost like £60, and they were like for £20, and that was a steal. Now, I've been using them slowly, and these are the ones that I have left, as well as here that I also have a few left. Now, many of them are duplicate, like the yellow ochre and the cadmium yellow hue, and I'm slowly working through them. It's a good thing that I actually use these colors. The ones that I don't really use much are the reds, because of my style of painting. I'm trying to change that. When I started my using up my supplies challenge last year, it was so that I would be able to do the switch to the professional grade colors much quicker. And it was also so that I wouldn't be buying stuff without realizing that I already had stuff sitting in a drawer. What I've done is that in this box, which is where my everyday use watercolors live, I set it up so that it only has the Cotmans now, and whenever I use them up, I will just bring some of these ones here in there. So these are sort of like the lineup for the next to be used, or stuff that is being used at the same time, like the burnt umber and the burnt sienna. The same with the cadmium red, and this is the alizarin crimson. So as you can see, it is a varied mix. I don't have that many greens because I've been using them up quite a lot lately. I've been painting a lot of forests, which I love. And I noticed that when I started my challenge, one of the things that I started considering was if there was any friction in my practice, and why wasn't I reaching out more for them. And that comes down to the size of the colors, basically. So the professional grade ones that I have from Winsor & Newton, they all come in tubes, so I'm able to just use them in larger palettes, but not with these ones. So what I started doing is I have started transferring them into bigger pots. Like for instance, this one here, this is the cadmium yellow. I was transferring some of it yesterday over here, and this one was brand new when I started transferring it onto here. I have also these ones. So here is where I have my indigo, which is one of my most used colors. Now mind you, the indigo is not from Cotman, the indigo is from Van Gogh, and that is also a student grade color. I bought a tube a while ago and it's still going. Here it is. So it's a 10 milliliter one, and as you can see I still have half of a tube left. It is very pigmented, and I I really like it because of that, and I haven't seen it being washed out or not pigmented enough when I paint. It's actually pretty good. I've had this since 2018 or 2019, so quite a while. This is my yellow ochre, and as you can see the pan is empty over here. I need to change this. And then I have this is the Payne's Grey, and I actually have this one in a tube from Winsor Newton. I don't know where I left it, but I actually finished the tube between the pan here and between transferring it over here. And this is a very pigmented mix, so there's not enough water to the ratio. It's just I transferred it yesterday. It's still wet, whilst these ones I transferred a while back, and the only thing that I do when I use them is I'll just spray them with water. That will reactivate them, and then I can also measure how much water I want to put in them. And I do the same over here with these two palettes. Now I can't remember, I think I had transferred the brown Van Dyke over here and I only had the one pan, but then at some point I think I mixed it with the burnt umber. So now I'm not sure, it's probably a mix of both or it's just the Van Dyke. And as you can tell, I haven't used it in a few days because it's dry. And this was a mix that I did of the Payne's Grey and a bit of green, I think. So I just need to wash this off. It's not much left there. And then my main palette. This ceramic palette that I got also many years ago, and I really like it. This is the lemon yellow. I used to have the cadmium yellow here before, but I decided to transfer it over here because I use more of it, and that way I will also start using the lemon yellow. So it's over here. Like I mentioned before, this is the burnt umber. This one was the intense green, and I don't have any intense green left anymore. So this is the last bit of intense green that I have. Hooker's Green Light, and I have some of it left over here, and I don't think I have another one. I do have it professional grade, but I don't think I have another pan. I can't remember at this moment. And then over here is my sap green, of which I still have quite left in the pan. And then I have, as you've seen earlier, I have a brand new pan waiting over here. And this one is a mix of orange that I did yesterday. I mixed the cadmium yellow with the cadmium red pale to have this orange shade because I wanted to use it in a painting. Now having it in this format is quite easy for me because all I have to do is just spray them with water. Oh yeah, and this is the ultramarine blue, sorry. So basically, as you've seen me, I've sprayed it, and this will reactivate the colors. I will do the same with these whenever I want to use them. So let's try with the indigo, which is quite dry because I haven't used it in a few days, so there's nothing left. I have to have like a bit of paper there, and I'll just go like that. And if I want to have it more watery, I'll just add more water and then just mix it with my brush. Just leave this over there. So basically I will work from the palettes that I have already prepared. And I will keep this next to me in case I just need to use a bit of color like I did yesterday. I was using the cobalt blue over here. So let me show you some examples that I've done these few days. I have here one of my favorite papers from Canson, the Aquarelle 60% cotton. I haven't used this in quite a while, so the last thing that I did was some swatches from my Horadam colors back in December. And this is something that I painted yesterday. Here I was seeing how two colors can go together, so in this case it was ochre and Payne's Grey. And I know that this is a small format, but I was still able to use my larger brush when I was doing the first wash with the ochre. And the paint spray I applied with this flat brush over here. And as you can see, the colors and everything, they still look fine. So there's nothing wrong with these colors. It's just that they are slightly less pigmented than the professional grade ones. Now another example is in this sketchbook. I really like this sketchbook. This is a new sketchbook that, to me at least, that I saw at the store. So it's Canson, but it's using the Saunders Waterford paper, which I really like as well. And this is 100% cotton. Comes with 40 pages. And I've been loving it so much that I have already used 3 pages, which is very rare for me in a good sketchbook. I have this scene green, and then I have these two, and then I have a page ready to be used up after I finish this video. Now let's talk about this one here. This again was also done using everything here is done with my Cotman watercolors. So this is using the Hooker's green and the lemon yellow. And I also used some ochre and some burnt umber and a bit of Payne's Grey. Now this was a reproduction, so to speak, of an older painting of mine that I did 2 years ago, and this is also in another Canson small sketchbook that I finished in May last year. And I really like the light that it has, how deep it is. I wanted to do that again. And so I did this one here. And it was such a joy to paint. I mean, this paper is really great. And then when I started with trying out some series, now I have a shorts that I want to upload to Instagram. And I might also upload it to YouTube that I haven't done so just yet, but I am showing you how I've done these. And again, these are Cotmans. This is cobalt blue, and this is using the cadmium red, using very lightly with lots and lots of water. And I wanted to make it a bit warmer, so I mixed an orange using the cadmium red and the cadmium yellow. This is the color that you can see over here. And even though the borders might be not perfect, I really like how it turned out. I did 2 washes of the cobalt blue. In this one over here I only did the 1 wash, but it's still looking pretty good, if I may say so myself. And as you can see on the cobalt blue here, there is enough pigment to make really nice paintings. And of course the paper is also plays an important part. I say that because I also did that ochre and hold on. I know I'm all over the place, sorry, that's just how I am. So this scene I also did it in my Fabriano paper. If you've been watching my Instagram, I just did like a short series where I am hating on the Fabriano. Now mind you, it's not the 100% cotton by Fabriano, it's just like a mix of cellulose and cotton. And I did these ones yesterday. Right, so I did the clouds again, so the ochre, the cobalt blue with the orange. And as you can tell, it didn't come out as nice and smooth as in the good paper. But it was fun to use for the clouds. It actually, I think it looked much more dynamic this way than the other one. And then this was me trying to do this scene, like a very warm yet dark sundown. And it didn't turn out as good For starters, I struggled with the paper quite a lot. I couldn't get a smooth uniform wash. The pigment kept staying on the paper, so I kept removing it until I started to peel the paper instead of coming off. Nevertheless, I persevered. I continued painting this, and yeah, it's not the best painting. However, I do like the contrast between these two colors, and that was mainly the exercise that I was trying to do. I will do some more later this afternoon. So I will do them in my 100% cotton sketchbook, in my 60% cotton sketchbook, and then in the whatever percent cotton. So this is how I have managed to streamline my practice, basically making life easier for myself. Because if you see these pots, my large brushes can fit them perfectly, and even, where are you, baby? There we are. And even my beloved Princeton Neptune, the 1.5 inch paletilla, can't remember how you say it in English right now, but this thick brush, a very wide brush, so it's very easy to fit in there. Oh yeah. And even on here, you can fit this one. The same here. And basically what I do is I also leave my desk kind of the way that I leave it. I'll leave my paints open like that. I'll just put them maybe slightly away to have a bit more space. But yeah, that's how I'm keeping it, making it easier for me. So I'll have the paper ready, using paper that I really love, and also using paper that I'm not so keen on. And that is making me come back to my practice much happier. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little snippet into my artist life and how I work on the daily. And maybe it helps you do the same with your paints. Let me know in the comments down below if you're willing to try this. And yeah, I will speak to you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your week. Bye for now.